Chapter 4136. Mu Yen takes a deep breath, her gaze sweeps over everyone present, and finally falls on Yu Yenran. The corner of her lips slowly hooks up, saying word by word, "Since I said I'm going to steal your man, then fine. If I don't steal him, wouldn't I be bearing this infamy for nothing?" Yu Yenran's face is full of astonishment. She thought that Yi Liangchen would refute and clarify. She didn't expect that he would directly admit it. He even said that he would steal her. "You, aren't you going to marry the demon princess?" Mu Yen chuckles. "What's wrong with that? In our demon race, as long as we're strong enough, it doesn't matter how many we marry. When I become the demon lord, even if I marry the emperor of the polar domain and the lord of the nether domain, who can stop me?" Yu Yenran chokes a mouthful of blood in her throat, unable to swallow or spit it out. Her pretty face turns pale. What ethics, what indirect scolding, in front of the straightforward demon race? It's nothing. Yu Yenran is used to feigning civility with the human spirit cultivators, using touching and meaningful narration to make the other party a sinner condemned by all. In the end, when she uses this on the demon race, she finds that the other party doesn't follow the script at all. The people of the nether domain are clearly shaken by these words, and for a moment, there's absolute silence. And it's at this time that a few screams abruptly come in. The great demon king said it well. "Great demon king, please let me become your ox and horse. I'm willing to follow you for a lifetime. The great demon king is mighty and domineering. Wait until my demon race unifies the world, then we'll marry all the handsome men in the world, ha! Everyone come quickly, great demon king Yi is here. The nether domain's turtle grandsons want to bully me, great demon king Yi." The densely packed Liangchen army of the demon race rushes over, separating to stand behind Mu Yen. Each and every one of their eyes shines brightly, looking at Mu Yen as if they're looking at their own god. Slurp, a demon licks his lips, saying excitedly, "Great demon king Yi only said to protect the limitless region's humans, but he didn't say that we can't touch those idiots of the nether domain. How about we eat them all?" "Alas, stop dreaming. Tianguang Ruins doesn't allow eating people. I think we should just bite off its limbs and dig out its intestines." The expressions of everyone in the nether region turned extremely ugly. They could trample on the spirit cultivators of the everlasting district and humiliate them. However, they did not dare to be too arrogant in front of the demons, who were also at a disadvantage. Because the devil race was a bunch of lunatics. He would rather be punished by Tianguang Ruins in order to heavily injure their divine souls. Moreover, if one demon was provoked, there would be countless demons rushing over to take revenge. A normal person would not be able to withstand this group of lunatics. The people of the nether region all retreated, and no one dared to speak up for Yu Yenran. "Boss, is this the woman who stole your man?" Lu De sized Yu Yenran up and down, his face full of disdain. "Don't human women boast that they are as beautiful as goddesses?" In the end, she couldn't even compare to Boss in terms of face, and she still had the nerve to snatch Boss Man? He doesn't even know how to pee and look at himself. Yu Yenran was fuming with anger. "Is your demon race always inverting black and white like this? Don't you have any shame? Stealing someone else's fiancée and you still take pride in it?" Lu De said seriously, "That depends on whether your fiancé is worth robbing. That's right, if the one you steal is trash, then wouldn't you be laughed at by the other demons?" Chapter 4137. If it's really good enough, like the polar domain sovereign, I can brag about it for 10,000 years if I snatch it, wow. Mu Yen almost laughed out loud. The frustration and irritation in her heart gradually disappeared amidst the noise around her. She hadn't stayed in the hidden abyss for a long time, but she seemed to have started to like these cute demons. Mu Yen looked at Yu Yenran and said slowly, "Since you all say I snatch men, there should be a process of snatching, right? I think we might as well play big. Aunt Jing, lend me your Ruins Lord's token." Jing Ruffing walked out from the crowd, her graceful figure graceful. She said coquettishly, "So annoying, how can little Chunchen learn from that kid Bailey and call me Aunt Jing? I like hearing you call me Sister Ruffing." "Sister Ruffing, can you sell me your Ruins Lord's token?" Jing Ruffing took out the Ruins Lord's token, without hesitation, and stuffed it into Mu Yan's arms. Here, for you. I'm not selling it, I'm giving it to you, little Chen. Saying so, her charming eyes swept past Yu Yenran, her red lips slowly hooking up. Little Chen, you must ruthlessly slap that slut's face for me to see. I hate those pretentious human female cultivators who can give me goosebumps with every word they say. This kind of trash isn't even fit to carry my little Chen-chen's shoes. A smile flitted through Mu Yan's eyes and she nodded. Don't worry, I'll let Sister Ruffing see my one-stop service of slapping faces, abusing scum, and slaughtering rankings. What was a one-stop service? Jing Ruffing didn't understand, but that didn't prevent her from understanding the meaning of Mu Yan's words. She couldn't help but tremble with laughter, feeling that this future little son-in-law was too much to her liking. Yu Yenran said angrily, you demons are really jackals of the same tribe, you don't know what propriety and honor are. Yi Liangshan, you clearly know that Mo Ju is my fiancé, but you still want to steal my love. Do you think that this kind of shameless behavior can be covered up with a demon's true temperament? Everyone in the nether region nodded. For spirit cultivators, ethics and morality, propriety and honor were deeply engraved in their souls. Was it immoral for two men to be together? Stealing someone else's fiancé was shameless. These devils were really uncivilized barbarians, a group of livestock, only fit to live in the dark abyss. However, at this moment, a deep and cold male voice suddenly rang out. Like a sharp blade slicing through the air, that magnetic and pleasant voice that caused people to tremble in fear smashed into everyone's ears. What are you? Are you worthy of being called Benjun's fiancé? Everyone's eyes were focused on the source of the voice. Following that, a series of gasps could be heard in the square. It was a tall man dressed in black. His face was covered with a mask, so no one could see his face clearly. But just the high nose bridge and thin lips that were exposed to the outside already had a breathtaking charm. The black clothes stuck to his body, outlining the perfect figure of the man. Those slender and straight legs, that strong but not thin waist, those muscles that were attached to the outline of the body, there was not a single inch that was not perfect, there was not a single inch that did not make people's hearts palpitate. However, the most shocking thing was the natural aura that the man exuded. A monarch descending upon the world, no one dared to disobey. Even Tianguang ruins seemed to slightly tremble, attacking their souls. Chapter 4138. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is suddenly unable to find this site today. Everyone, including the previously arrogant demons, are all stupefied. At this moment, there's only one thought in everyone's mind. Who is this man? Di Mingju completely ignores the gazes around him and goes straight to Mu Yan. He grabs her hand and pulls her in front of him. That tender and laughable child's body can't do anything. At this moment, he could finally put Xiao Xiang into action, which he had desired for a long time. However, before he can pull her into his arms, his chest is pressed against. Di Mingju frowns, lowering his eyes to look at the youth's exquisite features. He says in a hoarse voice, I am Mo Ju. Fuck you, Mo Ju. Mu Yan can't wait to ruthlessly bite this man. If this man in front of her isn't Di Mingju, she would twist her head off. But this man has deceived her time and time again, and even now, he still doesn't want to recognize her. Mu Yan is so angry that she wants to laugh. But, Mo Ju, right? She wants to see how long this scoundrel wants to play with her. Mu Yan's figure flashes and she breaks free from his embrace. She points at Yu Yenran with the hilt of her sword and says with a smile that isn't a smile, Mo Ju, right? I think you've got the wrong person, right? That one over there is your fiancé. I don't seem to have any relationship with you. Di Mingju's arms are empty, feeling as if his heart is empty. Hearing the youth's words, he immediately says coldly, Benjun doesn't have a fiancé. His gaze turns to Yu Yenran, the disgust in his eyes overflowing. Who do you think you are, daring to call yourself my fiancé? All of a sudden, shocked gazes focus on Yu Yenran. After a moment of shock, the demons can't help but laugh out loud. Damn it, this is so funny. This woman has been rambling for half a day, but it's all just talking to herself. A human spirit cultivator dares to say that we're shameless? I think they don't even know what shame is, right? How can you steal my fiancé, Oju? Ugh. This old lady almost believed it. Even the people of the nether region were stunned. They looked at Yu Yenran with complicated gazes. This woman was quite pretty, but he didn't expect her to be so. It was bad enough that she pretended to be someone else's fiancé, but she was also jealous of a male demon. Yu Yenran's body was on the verge of collapse, and her soul was so unstable that it almost wanted to retreat out of the Tianguang ruins. With tears in her eyes, she looks pleadingly at Di Mingju, her expression incomparably miserable and pitiful. Aju Gij, do you really not remember me? Brother Ju? The corners of Mayan's mouth slowly hooks up, but her eyes are overflowing with a dense chill. This form of address was really intimate. Di Mingju looks at Mayan and quickly says, Ben Jun is not familiar with her. Mu Yen sneers, what does it have to do with me whether you're familiar with her or not? Yu Yenran was so angry that she almost crushed her teeth. These two people exchanged flirtatious glances, flirting with each other, and actually completely disregarded her. The onlookers kept pointing at her and gossiping about her. Those devils who wished for the world to be in chaos were even more unbridled in their ridicule. Yu Yenran was so angry that her body was shaking. She stared at Yap Liangshan with hatred in her eyes. A strong killing intent rose in his eyes. This slut, she's going to kill him. She's definitely going to kill him. Feeling the malicious gaze, Di Mingju's eyes turn cold. He turns around and is about to move. His clothes are suddenly pulled by someone, and he's pushed to the side. A youth dressed in white slowly steps forward. Chapter 4139. A youngster in white slowly walks forward. As he passes by, he gives him a cold look. My business has nothing to do with Moju. Go away, or do you want to support your fiancé? Di Mingju. Ben Jun doesn't have a fiancé. Hehe, very good, no fiancé. That's great. Mu Yen glares at him, then walks straight to Yu Yenran. Di Mingju is at a loss, and also annoyed. There's also an indescribable throbbing in his heart. Is the youngster being angry with him? Although he doesn't know the reason, this lively appearance seems to bring the distance between the two of them closer. It makes him want to press the person into his arms and fiercely block that irritating mouth. Thinking of this, Jun Shangdaren's ears slightly redden. Then, as if nothing has happened, he focuses his gaze on the youngster, not willing to leave for even a second. As Mu Yen walks towards Yu Yenran, she gently tosses the Ruins Lord's command in her hand. A slightly husky and sweet-sounding voice carelessly says, let's get back to the main topic. Since we're going to snatch a man, there must be a process of snatching. It just so happens that I'm tired of fighting one duel after another. How about we play a big game today? Saying that, she tosses the Ruins Lord's command forward. A ray of light instantly radiates from the Ruins Lord's command, enveloping the entire Nether District's reincarnation square. Everyone's ears hear the mechanical and flat voice of Tianguang Ruins. Special user Yi Liang Chen invites you to participate in the one-on-many group duel. The starting bet is 10 prestige points, no upper limit. Would you like to participate? What does that mean? One-on-many group duel? Demon King Yi, how come we received it too? Could it be that you want to fight against so many of us by yourself? Mu Yen lightly slashes the 7 absolute sword in her hand to the side, drawing out a beautiful and elegant sword flower. With his other hand, he crooked his index finger and hooked it at all the people and demons present. What? You don't dare? The people of the Nether District look at each other, thinking that this youngster is crazy. On the other hand, Yu Yenran's heart skipped a beat and she even forgot to cry. She straightened her back and stared at Yi Liangshan. Yi Liangshan, if you lose, you will leave Moju. Do you agree? Mu Yen smirked. If I lose, Yi Liangshan will never see Moju again. Yu Yenran was overjoyed. This Yap Liangshan was too arrogant and underestimated his opponent. He didn't know that he was a celestial king-level spirit cultivator. Moreover, the attribute of the domain was between the 9 planets lunar and 9 planets Sunday. Even in the Nether region, it would not be too restricted. Even if it was a one-on-one battle, she was not afraid of such a yellow-haired boy. Not to mention one against many. Yap Liang Chen was courting death. On the side, Di Mingju's face turns black with anger when he hears this. Yi Liangchen would never see Mo Ju again. How could he say such cruel words? At this moment, he could not wait to capture this heartless youth and punish him severely. But in the end, he still restrained himself. He only sneered in his heart and thought, if worst comes to worst, I'll kill all these people in the end. I'll be the one to win, and the final conditions will naturally be decided by me. Yu Yenran sneered and chose to accept the duel. She did not forget to incite the spirit cultivators of the Nether District. Do you really want to watch a demon behave atrociously in your territory? Chapter 4140. The faces of everyone in the Nether region changed when they heard this. If Yi Liangchen really massacred everyone in the Nether region's prestige ranking, where would they put their faces? Now was the best chance to get rid of him and make him fall from the high ground. However, before everyone in the Nether region accepted the duel, the demons had already accepted the challenge with strange cries, and then rushed towards Yi Liangchen. Great Demon King, since you proposed this duel, then I won't be polite. I have long wanted to fight with the Great Demon King, but I didn't have the chance. Thus, everyone in the Nether region was dumbfounded as they watched the demons, who just bowed down to Yi Liangchen, rush up one by one, and raise their weapons, as if they wanted to tear that youth to pieces. Wait a minute. Isn't this the hero you worship, the idol you follow? What's going on with them attacking their followers without hesitation? Mu Yan didn't feel surprised at this scene, and her eyes emitted a bright light. The 7 absolute swords flew into the air, and suddenly turned into 7 swords, scattering in all directions. Her figure also disappeared on the spot like a ghost, and she fought with the demons that swarmed toward her. Jing Ruffing and Lu De didn't accept the duel. As the area manager of the demon region, Jing Ruffing couldn't participate in the duel. And Lu De and the others simply knew Mu Yan's strength and didn't want to humiliate themselves. Jing Ruffing looked at the handsome youth shuttling between the tall demons, and his expression was blurred and intoxicated. What a wonderful figure. He really enjoys the battle, and can break through continuously in battle. Just like Lord Demon Lord back then. Lu De licked his lips at the side and gloated, that bunch of idiots, they actually dare to fight with Boss Yi. They're dead for sure, huh? About a quarter of an hour later, the demons surrounding Mu Yan started to be kicked out one by one. These demons were either missing arms or legs, or their figures were illusory and almost couldn't continue to exist in the Tianguang ruins. Mu Yan's expression became more and more carefree and unrestrained. She seemed to be slowly grasping the essence of the 9 luminaries lunar. Fortunately, she had experienced little martial uncle's domain before. And her star domain could not only devour the energy of other domains. It could even simulate the energy fluctuations of any domain in the world. When Mu Yan adjusts the form of her domain to be completely synchronized with the 9 luminaries lunar, these devils, whose strength had been restricted by the 9 glory moon in the Nether region, were no longer strong enough. Mu Yan seemed to have swept away all obstacles and directly knocked him out of the game. Only then did the people of the Nether region react. They all took out their magic treasures and rushed forward. Bullying with numbers. Attrition warfare? He couldn't care less about these things. They would never allow a single demon youth to challenge their entire Nether region. Otherwise, when Yi Liangchen's name suppressed everyone in Tianguang ruins, how could the Nether district dominate? How was he going to survive in Tianguang ruins in the future? The battle this time was obviously not as simple as the one with the devil race. The spirit cultivators of the Nether region were all strengthened by the 9 luminaries lunar attribute. There was no lack of experts above the profound immortal stage. Their souls weren't as strong as Mu Yan's, and their battle prowess wasn't as amazing as Mu Yan's. But they won in numbers. The low-level cultivators desperately entangled Mu Yan's movements, and those profound immortals could quietly sneak attack Mu Yan, catching her unprepared. Chapter 4141. In just a short moment, Mayan's body is already covered with many wounds. Her white clothes are gradually dyed red with blood. Di Mingju, who is watching the battle from the side, tightly clenches his fists in his sleeves. There is only one thought in his mind, and that is to dismember all the spirit cultivators of the nether region and turn them into ashes. However, when his gaze came into contact with the young man's slightly red cheeks and bright eyes, this thought was forcefully suppressed by him. He is enjoying the battle. Yes, even if he is covered with cuts and bruises, and is in a precarious situation. Even if he is besieged by so many people, even if there are strong enemies waiting in the rear. But this seemingly weak youth is immersed in the joy of battle, without any fear or retreat. Instead, he is constantly growing. He is invincible. Di Mingju's tightly clenched hands slowly loosens, and his brows reveal a bone-piercing gentleness that even he himself didn't notice. He only wants to hold such a youth in his arms and treasure him well, not letting anyone covet and snatch him away. Mayan feels a gust of wind behind her. She narrowly avoids it, but there is still a burning pain coming from her back. Her body can't help but sway for a moment. She barely stands and turns her head to look. She sees Yu Yenran, who is holding two blades, looking at her expressionlessly. Seeing Mayan looking over, the corners of Yu Yenran's mouth slowly hooks up into a cold arc. Yi Liangchen, do you regret being too arrogant now? If you directly admit defeat now, at least you can retreat from this duel in one piece. Mayan wipes away the blood and sweat on her face. She throws the long sword in her hand, grabs it with a backhand grip, and suddenly stabs backwards. A scream comes from behind. Another person is eliminated and leaves Tianguang ruins. The youth in white clothes is covered with wounds, but he still has a disdainful smile on his face. He hooks his finger at the people of the nether region again. What are you standing there for? Continue. He completely ignores Yu Yenran. Yu Yenran is going mad with anger. Her hatred for this Yi Liangchen even exceeds that of Jun Mayan. On the contrary, the way the people of the nether region look at Yi Liangchen has completely changed. They originally thought that he is just an unruly demon youth. But they didn't expect that he would be so tyrannical. Under the 9-glory moon of their nether world, he fought alone against a group of heroes, not retreating even half a step, not showing the slightest fear. If not for this group battle, there was no doubt who would be at the top of the nether region's reputation ranking. One of the mystic immortals hammered his sword on the ground and cupped his fists, saying in a deep voice, "We admire fellow Taoist Ye's strength, and we're ashamed of our inferiority. But today's battle concerns the reputation of our nether region, so we have no choice but to bully you with numbers. What's the point of talking so much nonsense?" Mayan sneers and slowly steps forward. The original one figure seemed to have split into 2, 3, and even countless figures. This is the Shun musician skill, shocking lotus step by step, that she has comprehended. Although it was not as heaven-defying as lotus steps, it was still so fast that ordinary golden immortals and mystic immortals could not catch it with their naked eyes. I started this duel because I wanted to fight to my heart's content. Are you going to fight or not? Everyone in the nether region felt a sense of pride and immediately shouted, "Fight!" The figures of the two sides instantly intertwined and became a ball of battle. Although it was bullying with numbers, it was still a fair and square battle. As for Yu Yenran, who only knew how to sneak attack in such a battlefield, she was thrown to the back of everyone's mind. Chapter 41-42. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is suddenly unable to find this site today. Yu Yenran gritted her teeth so hard that her body was trembling with extreme anger. Her eyes flashed with venomous light. Suddenly, she steals her heart, and something quietly falls between her fingers. A cold light flashes, and then disappears without a trace. Di Mingju seems to have sensed something, and looks at her coldly. Just as he's about to move, he hears a beeping sound. He sneers and stops moving. His line of sight continues to focus on the fighting youth, and he doesn't bother to spare Yu Yenran a single bit. This battle lasts for more than an hour. The demons cheering for Mu Yen on the side are all hoarse from shouting. The last spirit cultivator from the nether region props up his tottering body and chooses to admit defeat. He's a profound immortal with a very high cultivation. Before the battle started, he was full of anger and arrogance. He just wanted to ruthlessly knock this demon youth down and let him know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. But after the battle, he's already full of admiration for Yi Liangchen. The strength of little friend Ye's soul is something I've never seen in my life. I wholeheartedly accept my loss, and the nether region also wholeheartedly accept my loss. The youth's white clothes have long lost their original color. Wounds of all sizes are everywhere on his body. But even so, he's still standing proudly, his figure solid, without the slightest flaw. In other words, his soul is still stable. After a pause, this person says in a clear voice, "From now on, Yi Liangchen is the strongest in the nether region." No, it should be said that from now on, Yi Liangchen is the strongest in Tianguang ruins, the only one. With that, this person chooses to admit defeat and elegantly retreats to the side. Ah! Someone from the demon race immediately screams, "Long live Demon King Yi! Demon King Yi, you're the strongest!" There are also those who rushed over from the limitless region who heard the news, and also shouted, "Great God Yi!" and then led the people of the nether region to shout as well. For a moment, the shouts and screams almost overturned the entire Tianguang ruins. As for Yu Yenran, who hasn't fought with Mu Yen yet, she's already forgotten. Others might forget, but Mayan wouldn't. She lowered her sword slightly, and her cold gaze landed on Yu Yenran. "Before we start fighting, do you have anything else to say?" Yu Yenran's face was expressionless. She was wearing a long skirt, and her charming face was slightly flushed. As she slowly walks towards Mayan, her long skirt brushes against the ground, making her figure even more graceful, swaying gracefully. It was as if she was a delicate and charming woman. There was no threat or malicious intent, so there was no need to be on guard. However, when she's only a few steps away from Mayan, the expression on his face suddenly turned ferocious. A cold light shoots out from her palm towards Mayan. Mu Yen has been waiting for a long time. Almost at the same time that Yu Yenran makes her move, she slashes her sword horizontally. With a clang, a pungent sour smell filled the air, causing Mu Yan's expression to change slightly. This was the burning water that could corrode the divine soul. Once contaminated with the burning water, whether it was a spirit cultivator or a devil, their 3 souls and 7 spirits would immediately be damaged. If it was light, their strength would greatly decline, and if it was heavy, they would become an idiot. In Tianguang ruins, it was strictly forbidden to use this kind of poison that deliberately damaged the divine soul. Once it was used, it would be severely punished. Therefore, Mu Yen didn't expect that this golden branch and jade leaf would actually be crazy to this extent. She would rather suffer the punishment of Tianguang ruins just to destroy her. Chapter 41-43. Yu Yenran's face revealed a sinister and twisted smile. So what if she was punished by Tianguang ruins? At least she could watch Yi Liangchen, that slut, turn into an idiot. She wanted to see how an idiot could seduce the emperor. But the next moment, Yu Yenran's smile froze on her face. An invisible shield appeared around the young man, completely blocking the burning water that was splashed over. A few drops even splashed back and fell on Yu Yenran's face. She let out a heart-wrenching scream, covering her face and falling to the ground. Her face, which was originally smooth and creamy, was now riddled with bloody holes, making her look exceptionally ugly. Yu Yenran didn't even have time to react. She heard Tianguang ruins' inherent cold and mechanical voice. User Jin Ji used the prohibited item, incineration water, and attacked special user Yi Liangchen. She has seriously violated Tianguang ruins' rules. She is now given a first-level punishment and will be permanently banished from Tianguang ruins. This voice rang in everyone's ears. As soon as the voice fell, the thunder clouds that had been waiting in the air immediately rained down lightning, all striking Yu Yenran. Amidst the blood-curdling screams, Yu Yenran's figure gradually faded and disappeared. Her soul was struck by the divine lightning, and she was directly banished from Tianguang ruins. Everyone present couldn't help but swallow their saliva. Was a first-level punishment so terrifying? Why did they feel that Tianguang ruins especially hated this Jin Jiuyi? It took a while for everyone to recover from their shock. Then they heard someone shout, "So, Great God Yi won this duel?" One person directly defeated hundreds of demons and the entire nether region. Wait, it seems not. That person is also in the arena. Mu Yen slowly turned around and looked at the man standing not far away. Even if he wore a mask, even if he deliberately restrained his aura, it couldn't completely conceal his noble and peerless elegance. Mu Yen looked at him deeply, her eyes slightly hot. At least she now knew that Di Mingju was still safe and sound. Her body suddenly seemed to lose its strength, swaying slightly, almost falling down. The man who was still in the distance suddenly disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was already holding the youth in his arms. Mayan looks up at him, reaching out to stroke his masked face, wanting to call out to Di Mingju. Thinking that they were currently in the Tianguang ruins within the nether domain's sphere of influence, he only said softly, "It's great that you're fine." Di Mingju looks at the youngster in his arms who is riddled with scars, as well as his clothes that have been dyed red with blood. His heart aches. Fortunately, this was only Tianguang ruins. Once the duel was over, these injuries would heal. He hugged her tightly and said in a hoarse voice, "You're not allowed to marry the princess, and you're not allowed to participate in the groom selection anymore. Do you hear me?" Mu Yen, Di Mingju, that's enough. Instead of exchanging warm greetings after a long separation, you're getting jealous. Are you crazy? Thinking of the beauty who had just called him Brother Aju, she couldn't help but grind her teeth. She turned around and struggled out of the man's arms, sneering, "What if I have to participate?" Before he could finish his words, his vision blurred. Someone had already grabbed his wrist, and his body felt light as he was pressed heavily against the tower in the middle of the square. The scorching kiss instantly stopped her breathing and completely drowned her reason. After a long time, the man slowly let go of her. Chapter 41-44. The hoarse voice carries an irrepressible emotion, low and soft by her ear. "Don't marry the princess. Wait for me to go to the hidden abyss to find you, okay?" After saying that, he lowers his head and kisses her again, then his figure gradually fades and disappears. The air is still filled with scorching and ambiguous emotions, as well as the man's cold and aloof voice. "I admit defeat. The duel is over. The winner is Yi Liangchen. The calculation of prestige will now begin." The mechanical voice of Tianguang ruins resounds in everyone's ears. However, no one seems to be able to hear it. They still haven't recovered from that fiery and explosive scene just now. Kiss, kiss, kiss. And it's two men, kissing in public. No, it's their demon king Yi, Great God Yi, who was forcefully kissed by a man. The demons feel that they should be angry and irritable. After all, Demon King Yi is their demon race's future princess son-in-law. But just now, each and every one of them had their eyes wide open, their faces flushed and their hearts racing as they watched the whole process, and they still feel that it's not enough. But it's probably because that man is too strong. So strong that even if he deliberately restrains himself, even if it's just in Tianguang ruins, it still makes them tremble from the depths of their souls. Only the strong are worthy of the strong. No matter if it's a man or a woman, no matter if it's a marriage, this is the demon race's inherent thinking. Mu Yen blushes and wipes her lips. The duel is over, and the wounds on her body begin to heal automatically. Even her swollen lips return to normal. But that scorching touch seems to still be there. That bastard! What does he mean by not marrying the princess? He's really jealous of even a woman, But why does she feel that Di Mingju is a bit strange this time? Forget it, he said that he would come to the hidden abyss to find her, so he will definitely come. Thinking that Di Mingju is safe and sound, thinking that the two will soon meet again, her heart surges with a sweet and peaceful joy. Tianguang Ruins Announcement. Tianguang Ruins Announcement. The mechanical yet urgent voice suddenly pulls Mu Yen back from her thoughts. The Nether region's prestige list's first place updated. The new Limitless region's first place is Yi Liangchen. At this point, the Nether region, Devil region, and Limitless region's first place of the three lists have been unified. The Central District's reputation leaderboard has been updated at the same time. The first person on the Tianguang Ruins reputation leaderboard is Yi Liangchen. Since special class user Yi Liangchen is the first user to achieve this, a special reward will be given. Yi Liangchen, please choose a time to visit the Spirit Ruin Grotto Heaven. The voice dissipated. Mu Yan felt her palm warm up, and a small key appeared in her hand. A name immediately flashed through her mind: Spirit Ruins Jade Key. This was the third special key after the Heavenly Cloud Jade Key in the Cultivation Continent and the Floating Light Jade Key in the Floating Island. Spirit Ruin Jade Key. With this key, she could enter the core area of Tianguang Ruins. It was the Spirit Ruins Paradise. Mu Yan's heart jumps. She thought of the man whose face and figure she couldn't see clearly. The owner of the Tianguang Ruins. She had suspected that he was her fiancé. Later, little Martial Uncle's heaven-defying, fate-changing, top-quality heavenly treasures, as well as the materials to repair the Tian Mo Qin, were also given by the other party. If she went to the Spirit Ruins Utopia, would she be able to see him? Or perhaps, she could obtain information about Jun Shiyuan from the owner of the Tianguang Ruins. Thinking of this, Mu Yan immediately chose to go to the Spirit Ruins Paradise. However, she was blocked outside the Iron Gate by an invisible barrier. Chapter 41-45. Little Sue, what's going on? The surroundings were quiet, with no reply. Mu Yan wasn't in a hurry. Crossing her arms over her chest, she waited calmly. After a long time, a weak voice came from the air. First-generation host, hello. There were 2 huge wutong trees in front of the Spirit Ruins Paradise. Along with this voice, a youth that looked almost the same as Xiao Tian and Xiao Guang appeared behind the parasol trees. But unlike Xiao Tian's liveliness and Xiao Guang's coldness, this youth seemed to be very shy. Most of his body was hidden behind the parasol trees, with only a small head sticking out, blushing as he looked in Mu Yan's direction. His fair baby face was bright red, and his eyes were filled with longing, childish admiration, and shyness. Mu Yan didn't expect that the last artifact spirit of Heaven Light Ruins would actually look like this. She couldn't help softening her voice. Your little Sue? The youth nodded lightly, his bright eyes staring at Mu Yan, but his voice was as small as a mosquito's. First-generation host, I miss you very much. Seeing you, little Sue, is too happy. Mu Yan walked over with a smile. I'm also very happy to see little Sue. Hearing her words, the youth's face flushed with excitement. Seeing her approach, he was so flustered that he didn't know where to put his hands and feet. One foot stepped back, as if he wanted to run away at any time. Mu Yan was amused by his appearance. Before he could run away in panic, she scooped him up and rubbed his head. I didn't expect little Sue to be so cute. Little Sue, First-generation host praised him for being cute. He's burning up, he's going to die. Mu Yan teased little Sue enough, then pointed to the Spirit Ruin Paradise. What's going on? Why can't I go in? Because little Sue can't contact Master. Little Sue looked like he was about to cry, feeling both guilty and annoyed. Little Sue already had the Ruins Lord inform Master. In the past, it was through them that I could contact Master. But this time, Master didn't give little Sue a response. First-generation host, I'm sorry, is little Sue very useless? Saying so, tears were already swirling in his eyes. Mu Yan was astonished that little Sue's intelligence had already far surpassed little Tian and little Light. He was like a truly shy youth. She stretched out her hand to stroke little Sue's hair and said gently, how could that be? Little Sue was the best. Thank you for protecting me in the dark every time and standing up for me. The youngster raises his head, his bright eyes look at Mayan, then he shyly lowers his head. He placed his index fingers together and spoke softly, but the corners of his lips were raised high. First host, do you know everything? Of course, Mu Yan knows. Regardless of whether it was to protect the burning death water from hurting her, or to help her deal with the people from the myriad electrocution sect. Little Sue had always been shy and did not dare to come out to see her, but had always been protecting her from behind. Mu Yan took another look at the Spirit Ruins paradise and muttered, "Since the owner of Tianguang Ruins isn't here, I'll go in next time to receive my reward." Little Su said softly, "Little Su will definitely think of a way to contact Master." Xiuxian Continent, Netherworld region. When Yuchen received the news from Tianguang Ruins, he couldn't help but reveal a surprised expression. Someone had actually managed to combine the 3 prestige leaderboards into one. Yiliangchen? He seemed to have never heard of this name before. And it was actually a demon. Chapter 41-46. Due to unknown reasons, this site is suddenly unavailable on Sogu today. Please remember this site's domain name, Book C Pavilion, and find your way home. The only person who could open the Spirit Ruins paradise was the true owner of the Tianguang Ruins, Luo Yunxiao. Even if he was the owner of the ruins and could control the life and death of every cultivator in the Tianguang Ruins, he still couldn't completely control the Tianguang Ruins. But at the thought of the first prince, who had completely changed, Yuchen couldn't help but sigh. He slowed down and walked toward the sleeping chamber where Luo Yunxiao was. On the way, he met Elder Pei Nan, whose cultivation was similar to his. Hearing that he was going to report to the new domain lord about the Tianguang Ruins, he followed him. "I also have something to report to the domain lord." As soon as they reached the door of the hall, a magical beast sprang out and let out a sharp voice. "Why are you looking for Master?" It was a magical beast that looked exactly like Chiwen. But upon a closer look, it didn't have any aura of a living creature. Its every move seemed sluggish and rigid. It wasn't a real magical beast, but a puppet. Yuchen felt a stabbing pain in his heart when he thought of the noisy magical beast that used to accompany the first prince. That magical beast was already dead, and would never come back. And the cold, indifferent, but kind-hearted first prince would never be able to return. But who was to blame for all of this? Yuchen followed Chiwen into the hall in a daze. A white-robed man was drawing a formation. The window was open, and his long silver hair fluttered in the wind. His handsome face, which could captivate all living things in the world, was half covered, and it was breathtaking. However, when the man raised his head, Yuchen and Pei Nan looked into that pair of blood-red eyes, and instantly felt as if ice water had been poured over them. All the amazement and confusion turned into fear in an instant. Yuchen licked his lips and swallowed before saying respectfully, "Domain Lord, there's news from the Tianguang Ruins. Someone has combined the 3 lists into one, achieved a new achievement, and obtained the Jade Key of the Spirit Ruins. But the opening of the Spirit Ruins paradise requires Master to go in person. I wonder." Luo Yunxiao's face revealed a stunned expression. There was clearly no fluctuation in her eyes. But when Yuchen stole a glance at the pair of blood-red eyes, he felt as if there was a heart-piercing sorrow and despair flowing within them. Chiwen rubbed her head against Luo Yunxiao and called out, "Master!" Luo Yunxiao came back to her senses and her long eyelashes slowly drooped. Her elegant voice carried a bone-piercing chill as she said, "Tell little Su that the Spirit Ruins paradise will never open again." Yuchen choked. He opened his mouth but couldn't say anything for a long time. He wanted to say that if they should be rewarded or punished, the Nether Realm would lose its power in the Tianguang Ruins. But so what? Whether the Nether World was good or bad, flourishing or perishing, would this person in front of him care? Not slaughtering everyone in the imperial court of the Netherworld was already his last mercy. Yuchen sighed softly and swallowed the words that were at the tip of his tongue. Pei Nan walked towards Luo Yunxiao and said, "Region Lord, this subordinate also has something to report." Swish. A cold light flickered as a blood-red dagger appeared in Pei Nan's fingertips. She stabbed it towards Luo Yunxiao's heart. "Luo Yunxiao, go to hell." Yu Chen's eyes suddenly widened as his heart almost jumped out of his throat. He didn't even know whether he was worried about Pei Nan or Luo Yunxiao at this moment. Puchi. The dagger pierced into Luo Yunxiao's chest. Blood flowed out and merged with the blood-red blade. Chapter 41-47. Luo Yunxiao's handsome face remained expressionless from beginning to end as he quietly looked at Pei Nan's ferocious face. The dagger was coated in poison as it pierced through Luo Yunxiao's heart. However, a black flame sprang up from the dagger and instantly climbed onto Pei Nan's hand. Ah! A heart-wrenching scream sounded as Pei Nan rolled around in the sleeping chamber. Yu Chen's lips trembled as he watched his former good friend's arm being swallowed by the Nether Ean's sacred flame. Even his body began to disappear. He looked in horror at Luo Yunxiao and knelt on the ground. "Domain Lord, please spare his life. He just doesn't want the Nether Realm to truly decline." Yu Chen knew Pei Nan's thoughts too well. He wanted the Nether Realm to be strong enough to surpass the Polar Domain and unify the three realms. If Yin Wuji could do it, he would support Yin Wuji. After Yin Wuji was defeated by Luo Yunxiao, he would support Luo Yunxiao. But Pei Nan didn't think that Luo Yunxiao didn't want the Nether Realm to prosper. He only wanted to see the Nether Realm completely destroyed. So Pei Nan went crazy. Even if he knew he would die, he still wanted to kill Luo Yunxiao and restore everything to how it was before. Yu Chen's eyes were filled with pleading. He did wrong, but his intentions were good. He only did it for the Nether Realm. Luo Yunxiao looked at him indifferently, his voice cold and without any ripples. "What does it have to do with me? What does it have to do with me?" Yu Chen was struck by lightning and couldn't say another word. That's right. What did the Nether Realm's prosperity have to do with him? What did the Nether Realm give him other than him being born? Pain, torture, humiliation, and the loneliness of having nothing. Wasn't it a joke to let such a great haul continue to prosper the Nether Realm? Pei Nan's screams disappeared along with his body. There wasn't even a bone left. Yu Chen left in a daze. Only Luo Yunxiao, who was still drawing the formation, and Qi Wen, who was beside him with a dazed expression, was left in the room. Suddenly, Luo Yunxiao stopped and said, "How long do you want to spy in the dark?" Qi Wen tilted her head slightly. There was no expression in her eyes, but she asked in a puzzled voice, "Master, who are you calling?" In the next moment, several figures landed in front of Luo Yunxiao and knelt on one knee. Fen Tian, Anya Wu, greets Master. Fen Tian, Dark Knight 7, greets Master. Fen Dun, Anya's 11th, greets Master. Luo Yunxiao's gaze fell on them. She frowned slightly and only said one word, "Scram." All three of them were dressed in black, and their faces were wrapped tightly with black cloth. The three of them were obviously stunned when they heard Luo Yunxiao's words. Then the man who called himself Anya 5 hurriedly said, "Master, we are the same as you. We have been tortured by the Hongqian murder. But you are the only one who has fused with the world-exterminating half-soul." Anya's 11th's voice trembled. "We all sensed it when you swallowed the world-destroying half-soul. We, Burning Heaven, have unanimously agreed to respect you as our common master. Only you can lead us to slaughter the Debii Temple, kill all those hypocritical immortals, and completely destroy this disgusting world." His words caused the eyes of the three of them to burn with a blazing light. Their bodies were trembling slightly because of excitement. However, Luo Yunxiao's face was expressionless when he heard their words. He just raised the corner of his mouth and smiled gently. Chapter 41-48. This smile made his already handsome face even more enchanting and moving. Fen Tian and the other two were all fascinated. They were impressed by Luo Yunxiao's appearance and strength. It was also the natural surrender of the body that had experienced the mortal tribulation to the world destroyer. However, soon, the man's cold and emotionless voice came into their ears. "What do these things have to do with me?" Anya the 5th said excitedly, "Master, you have experienced the mortal tribulation. Don't you want to take revenge on Debii Temple? Don't you want to destroy the world?" He paused, and his voice became hoarse because of extreme hatred. In order to destroy the world destroyer half-soul, Debii Temple selected thousands of innocent babies and let them become the hosts of the mortal tribulation. Most of them were tortured to death when the last half of their souls left their bodies. Those of us who were lucky enough to survive thought that it was a great gift not to kill us. In Fen Tian, there are also the survivors of the tribes that were persecuted by the so-called decent sects and the fallen evils with deep hatred. We don't want to see peace and prosperity. We don't want to unify the world. We just want all the creatures in the world to die. We're going to make those sanctimonious beasts suffer the pain that we've tasted and sink into hell together with us, doomed eternally. Fention and the other two thought that Luo Yunxiao would unite with them after they said these words. However, the expression of the man sitting at the head of the table was still indifferent and calm. He looked down at the three of them, as if a demon was looking at ants. Since they were demons and ants, how could they be qualified to cooperate with each other? They suddenly realized that it was not that Luo Yunxiao didn't want to take revenge. He was just not interested in cooperating with them. Destroy the world. He alone was enough. Cold sweat rolled down from the foreheads of Fention and the other two. Anya the third suddenly thought of something. He opened his mouth and said with difficulty, "Master, there is still a secret hidden in Defying Temple. Maybe you want to know." Qi Wen immediately asked in a sharp voice, "What secret? Tell us quickly, don't keep us guessing." Anya-san hurriedly said, "Bodhidharma of Defying Temple has a demon immortal weapon called the Resurrection Lamp. With this soul resurrection lamp, as long as we gather enough materials, we can resurrect the dead." Luo Yunxiao, who had been absent-mindedly fiddling with the array formation, suddenly stopped. He looked over at him. The soul revival lamp? Feeling the cold gaze, Anya-san's body trembled more violently. "Yes, I'm sure that Defying Temple has the resurrection lamp. Furthermore, they are currently planning to use the soul revival lamp to resurrect someone. We, Fention, have also planted spies in Defying Temple, which is why I know about this. It's just that I haven't gathered all the materials yet, so I haven't started yet." Anya-san slowly raised his head, and his eyes were filled with adoration, desire, and temptation. He said word by word, "Master, do you have a wish that you want to realize? Do you have anyone you want to resurrect? Go kill all the bald donkeys from Defying Temple and snatch the lamp of resurrection from them. We, Fention, are willing to become the blade and sword in your hands, to charge and break through the enemy lines for you, and to help you become the one and only demon king of annihilation in this world." Xiuxian Continent, southeast border. The first rays of dawn had just risen from the east, illuminating the entire land. Chapter 41-49. Many people in the Si Qing tribe had already gotten up and were busy going in and out. Suddenly, the cultivator on guard saw a figure rapidly approaching and immediately shouted, "Who's there?" When the figure got closer, he found that it was a young and handsome monk. He was wearing a golden red kasaya, which made him look even more handsome, with red lips and white teeth. But there was tiredness and vicissitudes in his eyes. However, even a monk was not allowed to get close at will. The guard was about to scold him and leave, but he heard his companion call out in surprise, "Master Jing Yuan, is that you?" A month ago, Elder Huagu of the Si Qing tribe led a team out, but accidentally encountered a group of corpse puppets. When they were almost wiped out, a monk saved them. And the guard who called out was one of the survivors who went out with the team. The Si Qing tribe was actually quite xenophobic, but they still expressed a warm welcome to their savior. But somehow, they always felt that the little monk's face did not have the vitality that he had when they met last time. His eyebrows seemed to be soaked with sorrow and sadness. "Amit-ba." Jing Yuan bowed slightly to a little girl and said in a hoarse and soft voice, "Miss Wu Meng, last time you said you saw my second brother and his disciple in the Mo Mountain. Could you please take me there?" Wu Meng's little face turned red and she nodded quickly, "Of course. But I can't remember clearly. Maybe I can't find them." Jing Yuan slowly exhaled and said, "It doesn't matter. As long as you are willing to lead the way, I will be very grateful." His fingers slowly squeezed the Buddha beads in his palm. Jing Yuan would never have thought that he had not found his second brother and had not asked his master to return to secular life. But his second brother suddenly passed away. Both his master and eldest brother seemed to know how second brother died. But no one was willing to tell him the truth. Eldest brother only told him that the resurrection lamp of Defying Temple could resurrect second brother, but it needed many rare treasures as fuel, and it also needed things that were contaminated with second brother's breath. Eldest brother would send people to collect and search for those fuel. But the things that were contaminated with second brother's breath were no longer in Defying Temple. After all, second senior brother had left Defying Temple for so many years. Therefore, Jing Yuan hurriedly returned to the Siqing tribe, hoping that Wu Meng could lead him to the place where second senior martial brother used to live. The people of Siqing's tribe were very grateful to Jing Yuan. They repeatedly told Wu Meng to help Jing Yuan. Given Jing Yuan's level of cultivation, others would need a flying magical artifact. He just grabbed Dark Dream's clothes and teleported, disappearing from where he was. Huagu had always been brooding over owing Grandmaster Jing Yuan a favor. As he watched the two of them leave, he couldn't help but smile. At this moment, a person hurriedly ran towards Huagu. "Elder, the female cultivator you brought back woke up." Huagu was startled. The female cultivator with the aura of the Wu Shang flame? She survived. Chapter 4150. Due to unknown reasons, this site is suddenly unavailable on Sogu today. Readers, please remember this site's domain name, Book C Pavilion, and find your way home. Huagu's spirit shook and he quickly said, "Let's go and take a look." Under the abyss. The Cloud City competition finally came to an end on this day. Mu Yan, or rather Yi Liangchen, was the well-deserved champion. Of course, the people of Cloud City were already aware of this outcome half a month ago. Even Lu Jing, who was initially at odds with Yu Ying, was now convinced by this handsome and powerful youth. When he went on stage, his scream was even louder than Yu Ying's. Yu Ying couldn't help but smirk as she despised him. If she had a tail, it would have been wagging in the sky by now. "I'm just lucky and have good foresight. I can pick up treasures casually in a one-star main city. Where's little Chen? Ask him to come out quickly. I've brought him news." The door was pushed open, but the handsome youth was nowhere to be seen. Only Night Spirit was cultivating inside. During this period of time, under Mu Yan's pampering, Night Spirit had been eating demonic pills like candy. So her cultivation had risen straight to rank 9 demonic weapon, and she was just a step away from breaking through to demonic guard. Night Spirit couldn't help but want to roar at the thought of the thigh he had accidentally latched onto. What kind of demonic foresight do I have? I actually picked up such a peerless treasure from the Demon Cloud Ridge. Where's little Chen? Night Spirit said, "She went to the West District." "Why did she go to the West District?" Yu Ying said, "Forget it, where did she go? Should I go look for her?" Cough, there's no need for that. I don't know why she went to the West District. I'm afraid you won't be able to find her. Yu Ying said unhappily, "I even brought him news related to her father." Night Spirit was stunned upon hearing that and hurriedly jumped off the bed. "Really? Can you really find Liangchen's father?" I don't know whether I can find them or not, but I spent half a month to filter out all the demon masters and demon generals in the 4-star main cities who might have children wandering among the humans. I don't believe that I can't find the scumbag father who abandoned little Chen. At this time, Mayan is dressed in women's clothing, quietly passing through the Western District and arriving at the old man's hut from before. Half a month had passed, and the house that had been half destroyed was still half collapsed. Mayan shields her sense of smell, pushes open the door and enters. Then, she is speechless to see the old man sleeping soundly in the garbage heap. The corner of her mouth twitched. This old man was really adaptable to circumstances. It had been half a month. If the house wasn't repaired, how could he sleep? Aren't you afraid of being hacked and stolen in the middle of the night? However, looking at the room full of junk and the stench, well, probably no one would come to steal it. Mu Yan knocks on the swaying door, as if it could collapse at any time. After knocking a few times, the old man grunted and slowly opened his eyes. "It's you. What are you doing here? I don't have a second monster core for you to use." Mu Yan threw out a Qiankuan bag. "This is to compensate you." She rubbed her nose. "I'm sorry for damaging your monster core last time." The old man took the Qiankuan bag unceremoniously and opened it to take a look inside. Oh ho, so many mabe, and there's even a devil core. As expected, people who can go to a 4-star main city to participate in the marriage selection are different. They're so generous. Mu Yan's body stiffened as she looked at the old man in shock. Hee, do you think I can't recognize that you're that Yangchen? Chapter 4151. The old man rolled his eyes. How many demon masters are there in the nebulous cloud city? How many of them can even destroy my top-notch demon core crystal? Do you think I can't tell if you're a man or a woman? I'm old, but I'm not blind yet. Mayan coughed slightly. I really had no choice but to dress up as a man to participate in the marriage selection. Please keep this matter a secret. All right, I'm not interested in other people's business. What's more, the Mabe and magic cores you brought have long surpassed the value of magic cores. Take the extra money as my hush money, thus. Only then does Mu Yan breathe a sigh of relief. In fact, back in Bloodflame City, the owner of the Monster Core Inspection House had also seen through his identity. However, the boss was even more valiant. He directly asked, "So what if I'm the evil woman? As long as you are strong enough, you are qualified to marry the princess?" What was the relationship between a man and a woman? Recently, Mu Yan has been staying in the hidden abyss for a long time, and her thoughts have gradually been assimilated by the demon race. However, even she was amazed by the eccentricities of the devil race. Mu Yan smiled at the old man and said goodbye to him before leaving. A low voice came from behind. What does it matter if it's a man or a woman? Anyway, no one can marry the princess. Mayan stares blankly. What does that mean? But this old man had always been mysterious, and the dilapidated house was really too smelly. Even if he blocked his sense of smell, he still couldn't bear it. Mu Yan did not ask any more questions, but turned around and left. When the old man saw that she had walked far away, the corner of his lips curled up. He took out all the devil cores from his Chinkuan bag and stuffed them all into his mouth. If Mu Yan was still here, she would already be dumbstruck. Is there anyone who eats magic pills like this? Although these magic pills were all beneficial to the human body, their effects were different and their medicinal strength was strong. If he were to eat so many magic Dan-s at the same time, not to mention whether their attributes would clash with each other. Even the majestic medicinal power was not something that the old man's frail body and damaged monster core could withstand. However, the old man acted as if he could not feel anything. He puffed up his thin cheeks and swallowed all of the magic cores. The medicine took effect, and a burning pain came from every part of his body. The monster core revolved quickly, and a huge stream of air revolved around the monster core, as if it wanted to burst out of his body. The old man curled up in the garbage, and the pain made his whole body spasm. However, he did not groan. Instead, he laughed out loud. However, this laughter was hoarse, sorrowful, and fragmented, causing one's heart to ache when they heard it. As he laughed, turbid tears fell from the corners of his eyes. The old man laughed and said in a low voice, "It's so good, such a strong effect, at least. I know that I'm still alive. He did not know how long he had been in pain, or how long he had been laughing. Suddenly, the old man's laughter stopped. His wrinkled and dirty face revealed an expression of disbelief, and his eyes slightly widened. At this time, the effect of the medicine had already passed, and the monster core had stopped spinning violently. The thick energy surrounding the monster core began to slowly seep into the monster core, slowly repairing the damage on it. Although he only repaired a little bit before the energy was exhausted and stopped, the old man suddenly sat up from the garbage heap. His withered tree-like hand pressed hard on his chest, and his lips trembled. How could this be? How can it be repaired? How can it be repaired? Chapter 4152. The old man's line of sight slowly turned and fell on the Chinkuan bag not far away. The demonic elixirs inside had already been eaten by him, so he had no way of knowing the effects of those demonic elixirs. But one thing was for sure. It must be the demonic elixirs brought by that little girl that helped his demonic elixirs to recover a little. The old man hugged his trembling body and suddenly laughed in a low voice. Then his laughter became louder and louder, almost hysterical. There was actually someone in this world who could recover his demonic elixirs? This was not a dream. This was not his imagination. The old man suddenly climbed up from the pile of rubbish and stumbled out. Where is Yi Liangchen? Where is Yi Liangchen? Quickly tell me where Yi Liangchen is. The demon who was caught by him pushed him away and said unhappily, Is there something wrong with your brain? Demon King Yi went to a 4-star main city to participate in the marriage selection, of course. What? Already left? The old man said excitedly. When did he leave? Which 4-star main city did he go to? Old man, have you been dreaming these days? Demon King Yi left yesterday morning through the teleportation token. How would I know if he went to a 4-star main city? There are only immortal slaying, soul devouring, sky reaching, cloud locking in the 4-star main city. In a few days, the Hidden Abyss Mansion report will announce the list. Hee, at that time, I must go to a 4-star main city to support Demon King Yi. After saying these words, the demon pushed the old man away and left. The old man walked back to his shabby house in a daze. Gone. So it has been 2 days since I took those demonic elixirs? After returning to the shabby house, the old man looked at the Chinkuan bag full of mabe and slowly clenched his fists. Right? He could go and find that little girl. Since the demon god let him meet her, it must be to give him a chance of survival. He must catch her even if he died. The old man lay in the rubbish pile, but his heart was still agitated and it was difficult to calm down. Suddenly he sat up, completely ignoring the stench of the rubbish pile, and plunged into it. After a long while, he finally pulled out the crystal ball that was overflowing with light from the inside. The old man looked at the crystal ball in his hand, his eyes burning with obsession, but tears unconsciously fell from his eyes. Try again. He slowly pressed his skinny fingers on the crystal ball, and a sparkling light emitted from his palm. In the next moment, a sharp pain pierced through his mind. It was as if thousands of sharp needles were stabbing his head. The old man was in so much pain that his whole body was bent over, and beads of sweat rolled down like rain. However, he held the crystal ball tightly and refused to let go. The monster core in his body spun madly, and the hole that had just been repaired reappeared on the monster core. However, almost at the same time, something entered the old man's mind. It was incomparably clear, and it shook one's heart and soul. The old man's eyes suddenly widened, his pupils constricted, and his lips trembled. A shrill scream escaped from his throat, and he fell into the garbage with the crystal ball in his arms. But after the scream, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. The devils return to tranquil region, a pearl in the vast sea. The phoenix soars through the 9 heavens, the 3 realms return to its heart. When the divine master ascends, where will he look at the 9 prefectures? Your Royal Highness. Your Royal Highness. It turns out that the one who brought me a glimmer of hope is your Royal Highness. You didn't expect it, did you? You never thought that there would be a day where I would make a comeback, did you? As he laughed, his tears fell down, with blood, bright red and glaring. Your Royal Highness. Your subject, the priest of the demon emperor, Zhongli, greets your Royal Highness. Chapter 4153. Demon Imperial City. Still haven't found the princess? Min Wei frowned at the 4 dejected people and couldn't help but pace back and forth in the room. Schwaggy glanced at him cautiously and said in a low voice, I almost flipped over the 2- and 3-star main cities, but I couldn't find any trace of her highness. But what? The demon blood guards under Wu Feng reported that they saw a demon woman trying to leave Hidden Abyss. They discovered her and hurriedly escaped, but they lost track of her. Wu Feng guessed that she might be a spy from Nether Realm or Polar Realm. Because of the investigation, she panicked and wanted to escape, so she exposed herself. After that, we did a thorough investigation in the nearby 3-star main cities and caught quite a few spies. Min Wei rubbed his forehead. So after investigating for half a month, you have no clue of the princess? The 4 lowered their heads and didn't dare to speak. Min Wei was so angry he wanted to smash their heads. Do you know that the heavenly enchantment banquet is about to begin? All the clans and sects of Xiuxin continent are coming. At that time, the Hidden Abyss cannot be completely sealed. If you can't find the princess, what are you going to do about the heavenly enchantment banquet? The four shrunk their necks and wanted to find a hole to hide in. No one dared to provoke Minwei, who had turned into a fire-breathing demon. Shui carefully looked up and whispered, How about we ask Lord Zhongli to come out of seclusion and divine for us? Since the princess is in hidden abyss, it will be much easier for Lord Zhongli to divine her location. Minwei frowned and glared at her. Lord Zhongli was seriously injured in the war 1,000 years ago. Since then, he has to go into seclusion to heal. When he comes out, the heavenly enchantment banquet will begin. How are you going to find him? Do you think your idea is good? Shui shook her head and almost cried. Sob, sob, sob. The heavenly enchantment banquet was the demon venerable's idea. Elder Minwei didn't scold the demon venerable but them? Picking on the soft persimmon. Yao Dao thought for a moment. Elder Minwei, how about we stop looking? Stop looking? Yes, we will wait for the princess to come out herself. His eyes flickered, and he said in a low voice, Although the demon venerate doesn't like the polar domain's sovereign lord, the princess even has a child with him, so their relationship must be pretty good. Di Mingju has been invited to the enchantment banquet. As long as the princess is still in the hidden abyss, she will inevitably hear the news. At that time, there's no need for us to look for him. The princess will find a way to meet Di Mingju. Min Wei frowned, revealing a pondering expression. This wasn't really a solution. Although there was a certain risk, there was no other way. Min Wei waved his hand and said, Just do as Yao Dao said. Remember to wear the demon core blood jade at all times. If you miss the princess, let the polar domain people take her away first. At that time, be careful of your skin. I know. Rest assured, Elder, the princess must not be snatched away. If Di Mingju wants to marry our princess, then he can marry into our Chen Yuan. He'll serve the princess together with the prince's son-in-law selected from the general election. Shuiji said excitedly, Which one do you all favor? Let me tell you, there's an outrageously handsome boy in a 3-star main city. His name is Yi Liangchen. I heard that he's very good-looking. His little face is so tender that water can come out of it. Chapter 4154. The key is that he's strong, can refine demonic pills, and has a large group of followers behind him. I think it's good to let him serve the princess. Teach, what's so good about a pretty boy? I think the kid from the Hellion family is the most interesting. He's arrogant, cold, and powerful. I like him the most. Hellion and is too bloody and cruel. What if he scares the princess? I think the younger generation from the Bailey family is better. Minwei, damn it, he really wanted to throw this group of brainless devils into the demonic fire and let them be reforged. Demon Imperial City, Yuyue Palace. Immortal slaying, soul devouring, sky piercing, cloud locking. Choose, which 4-star main city do you want to watch the competition? Yun Ruhan looked at the 4 teleportation tokens in front of him, then at the little girl in front of him. He couldn't help but smile. Although he was told to choose, only one of the 4 teleportation tokens was placed in front of him. The other 3 were placed far away. Was he supposed to choose? It was obvious that he had already chosen for her. Yun Ruhan picked up the teleportation token in front of him and said gently, I choose Immortal Slaying City. Seeing that he chose Immortal Slaying City as he wished, Yu's delicate little face immediately bloomed with a bright smile. This smile was too much like a pure little girl's, innocent and pure, as if it could not tolerate any filth in the world. Madam, I also want to go to Immortal Slaying City, may I? A gentle voice came over, causing Yun Ruhan to suddenly return to his senses. Luo Xiyuan walked toward the two with a charming smile on his face. He looked at Yu with a gentle gaze, but his tone was teasing and pleading. We're both demonic pets. Madam, you can't only take Ruhan but not me. Saying that, he walked toward Yu as if he wanted to pull her into his arms. But before he could touch Yu's hand, Yu had already taken a step back and moved closer to Yun Ruhan. She squinted her almond-shaped eyes and looked at him for a while. Her lips slowly curled up. Okay, you can come too. What about us? We want to go too. I've long wanted to see Demon King Ye's glory. The first demon to unify Tianguang ruins. My lord, bring me along. In an instant, a group of magic pets rushed out, chirping nonstop. Yu waved her hand and said, "All of you, go together." The demonic pets immediately cheered. Long live my lord. I can finally see Yap Liangchen, who I admire so much. Who are you to call Yi Liangchen? Call him Great Demon King. Yun Ruhan, little junior sister, what did you do this time? He didn't even want to be a demoness and directly promoted to a Great Demon King. He reached out to touch his forehead and couldn't help but smile helplessly. Suddenly, Luo Xiyuan's voice sounded in his ears. Brother Ruhan, do you know Yi Liangchen? Yun Ruhan retracted her smile and said gently, Why would Brother Luo ask such a question? Of course I don't. Hee, I just feel that Yap Liangchen's appearance and fighting style is more like a human spirit cultivator. I thought that Brother Ruhan would know him. Luo Xiyuan said casually, but if you think about it, it's impossible. If he was a fallen evil, how could he be so powerful, and how could he be so crazily sought after by the demon race? Chapter 4155. It would take a lot of devil chi to teleport so many people to the immortal slaughtering city. However, with Yu Yu's cultivation, she naturally did not care about these things. She ordered all the demonic pets to stand around her. She held the teleportation token of the immortal slaughtering city in her hand and injected demonic energy into it. A thick black and red mist emanated from her body, enveloping everyone, including Yun Ruhan. His head felt heavy and his feet felt light, as if his soul was being torn out of his body. Yun Ruhan's expression suddenly changed, and she subconsciously reached out to grab the girl's hand. In the next moment, the world before his eyes spun. When he steadied himself, he saw a vast plain. The green grass was lush, and the mountain range was verdant. The air was filled with dense spiritual chi and immortal chi, but there was no demonic chi. This seemed to be a paradise. What happened? Where are we? A panicked voice sounded in his ears. Yun Ruhan turned around and realized that she and Yu were not the only ones who had entered the blessed enclave. There was also a male pet who grabbed Yu Yu's sleeve out of excitement and nervousness. It seemed to be called Yenin. This was a demonic soldier of the same rank as Yun Ruhan. He had been following Yu Yu for a very long time, but he was very timid and weak, so he usually did not have much of a presence. Now, he had suddenly arrived at a strange place without even devil chi. Yen and was so scared that he didn't know what to do. He grabbed Yu Yu's sleeve tightly, wishing he could stick his whole body to her. Yu, you didn't expect this, did you? A familiar voice sounded. Luo Xiyuan walked over with a smug smile on his face. Behind him, there were more than 10 people. Each of them had reached the peak of the golden immortal realm. 3 of them were even profound immortals. As for Luo Xiyuan, the demon core he had revealed in the secluded moon palace was that of a demon guard. At this moment, there was not a single bit of demonic energy on his body. Instead, a powerful celestial energy was being released. He had actually reached the 3rd level of the mysterious immortal realm. Luo Xiyuan waved his hand, and the spirit cultivators behind him immediately spread out, surrounding Yu Yu and Yun Ruhan. Demon Yu Yu, I've endured humiliation and been your pet for so many years just for this day. This cloud sun immortal abode will be your burial ground. After saying this, Luo Xiyuan waited for Yu Yu to reveal a panicked and angry expression. However, he was met with the girl's mocking eyes. I was wondering why I always felt that your body had a foul smell, and it made me feel disgusted when I got close to you. It turns out that it's a demonic aura forged by the demonic corpse nucleus. Luo Xiyuan's face instantly twisted, and his eyes seemed to be spitting fire. He had always been proud of his incomparably handsome appearance, and he was not inferior to even the Polar Domain's sovereign emperor. There were countless female cultivators in the Xiuxing continent who wanted to be his beloved concubine. A person like him disguised himself to approach Yu Yu and seduce a little girl. It should have been a piece of cake, but who knew that for 2 whole years, Yu would not even look at him. Not to mention asking him to serve her in bed. On the contrary, Yun Ruhan, a good-for-nothing fallen evil, climbed into Yoyue's bed in just one night. Luo Siyuan had no sexual interest in Yuyu. However, Yuyu's disregard and disgust for him deeply hurt his self-esteem. He sneered. "Female devil, what you're saying now is just a last-ditch struggle. There is no demonic energy in the Cloud Sun immortal abode, only immortal energy and spiritual energy. No matter how powerful you are, you're just a beast without teeth, at our mercy." Chapter 4156. Speaking of which, I have to thank you, Brother Ruhen. If this demoness hadn't promised to bring you to the immortal slaughtering city, I wouldn't have had the chance to tamper with the teleportation token and send you all to my Yunyang immortal abode. Yun Ruhan didn't get angry. Instead, she asked in confusion, "Who are you? Why did you kill Yuyu?" "Bloody and cruel demoness, everyone has the right to kill her." Before Luo Siyuan could speak, the other two Xian immortals beside him were already shouting angrily. "Yuyu, do you still remember us? I'm a descendant of the Lin family. Back then, it was you who went crazy and slaughtered the entire Lin family. When you slaughtered indiscriminately back then, did you ever think that you would end up like this? And my 9 sons sect clearly had no grudge with you, but you suddenly barged into our sect and killed our sect leader and 18 elders. If I don't avenge this blood feud, I'm not worthy of being called a disciple." When these people spoke of Yuyu's crimes, their eyes turned red. Clearly, their hatred had reached a boiling point. Luo Siyuan said, "Fellow Taoists, there's no need to be agitated. Killing Yuyu today will naturally avenge your friends and masters. When the time comes, we'll also be able to take down the demons." Hearing Luo Siyuan's words, they bowed to him repeatedly, their faces full of gratitude. "We're fortunate to have the Blazing Flame sects help this time, and fellow Taoist Luo didn't hesitate to serve the demons to seek revenge for us. We're truly grateful. From now on, my 9 sons sect is willing to merge with the Blazing Flame sect and follow senior brother Luo's orders." Luo Siyuan smiled with satisfaction. Most of the grievance and resentment he felt from Yuyu's humiliation had dissipated. No matter what, as long as he killed Yuyu today, he, Luo Siyuan, would be famous throughout the world. If he could merge the 9 sons sect and the Lin family into the Blazing Flame sect, the position of sect leader would definitely be his. "Yuyu, it's your honor to be my stepping stone." Luo Siyuan composed himself and waved his hand. "Let's not waste any more words. If this demoness calls for reinforcements, it won't be worth it." Before his voice died away, his figure had already rushed forward, the long sword in his hand flashing with a cold light as it was unsheathed. The others were already filled with hatred. If they could kill Yuyu for revenge, how could they delay? They immediately surrounded her. With a wave of her hand, Yuyu pushed Yun Ruhan and Yen Tong several meters away. A black and red halo enveloped the two of them. Yuyu smiled and licked her lips with the tip of her tongue. Her eyes were filled with excitement and bloodlust. Without saying a word, her figure suddenly turned into a wisp of black smoke and rushed towards Luo Siyuan and the others. Damn it, this demoness can't even absorb devil chi in Yunyang's celestial abode. How can she still be so powerful? Hold on everyone. This demoness was only consuming the remaining devil chi in the demon core. This bit of devil chi would be exhausted sooner or later. As long as we persevere, we will definitely be able to make this demoness run out of energy. Ah! Fresh blood and severed limbs splattered in the Yunyang celestial abode, which was filled with immortal chi. The girl in it laughed loudly. Her laughter was clear and melodious, and her expression was innocent and pure. Her eyes were filled with disdain and disdain. Just like how they had planned in every possible way, they were not skilled hunters. They were just ants who had barged in by themselves, overestimating their own abilities and trying to shake a tree. Luo Siyuan hurriedly took a step back to avoid the blood of his fellow spirit cultivator. His face was completely dark. He had originally thought that this assassination, which had been planned for several years, would definitely be a success. Chapter 4157. They hadn't expected Yuyu's strength to be so strong. 4 Xian immortals and a dozen peak golden immortals couldn't do anything to a weakened Yu. She had even killed several of them in the blink of an eye. Luo Xiyuan's eyes turned and landed on Yun Ruhan and Yenin. His eyes flashed with a sinister cold light. His figure suddenly swayed, and he arrived in front of the black-red light shield. He raised the long sword in his hand, gathered all the immortal power in his body, and slashed at the light shield. There was a loud bang. The red light shield shook violently and made a cracking sound, as if it would shatter at any moment. Ugh! Save me, my lord! Yen An's face was pale, and he couldn't help but cry out in fear. He retreated, almost out of the light shield. It was Yun Ruhan who was quick to pull him back. Not far away, Yu, who was on a killing spree, paused and frowned slightly. Luo Xiyuan immediately shouted, "Hold her back. This demoness cares a lot about her pretty boys. As long as I capture them as hostages, you will surrender." His words caused the spirit cultivators to perk up. The panic of wanting to retreat just now had all turned into desperation and ferocity. Even though Yu was powerful, she was suppressed to the point where she couldn't move. Luo Xiyuan's long sword once again looked at the red light shield. Again and again. Yu's protective shield was very powerful, but this was Yun-Yang Immortal Abode, where there was only immortal qi and spirit qi. Luo Xiyuan's strength was magnified infinitely. Every time he slashed, the shield weakened by 30%. In just a few breaths, it was on the verge of collapse. Yen An was scared out of his wits. With a sobbing tone, he shouted, "You spirit cultivators speak of upholding justice, but all you do are despicable and shameless things. Isn't it enough to kill my lord with a dozen of you? Now you want to threaten us with 2 little demon soldiers? You are the shameless ones." Luo Xiyuan sneered. Everyone has the right to punish evil. What's the point of morality? Only by killing this demoness, Yu, will there not be so many people in the world who will be tortured by her. Nonsense! Yenin screamed. I know everything about the Lin family and that 9 Sons sect. The head of the Lin family deceived the daughter of the Li family and used this to swallow up most of the Li family's businesses. The Lin family's patriarch even tried to kill the Li family's young lady when she was giving birth, causing the child to die in her womb. The Li family's young lady narrowly escaped death and was rescued by a loyal servant. But the Lin clan was afraid of the Li clan's revenge, so they decided to go all out and slaughter the entire Li clan. Miss Li fell to the devil with hatred and joined Sir, begging Sir to take revenge for her. That was why his lordship decided to give them a taste of their own medicine and massacred the entire Lin family. Yun Ruhan was stunned. She didn't expect the truth to be like this. Yen Gui's eyes were bloodshot. And the 9 Sons sect. They claimed to be a righteous sect, but in the end, they used mortal false immortals and low-grade demonic weapons to activate the restriction formation in an attempt to improve their cultivation bases in a short period of time. Tens of thousands of mortals and low-level devil soldiers turned to dust in your hands. One of the devil soldiers was a relative of his lordship's subordinate. When his lordship learned of this, he took revenge for his subordinate and killed those elders and sect masters who were worse than beasts. What's wrong with that? You humans always say that we demons are sinister and cunning, cruel and bloodthirsty, but in reality, you humans are often 100 times more sinister and cunning than demons, and 100 times more insane. Chapter 4158. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is suddenly unable to find this site today. Fellow readers, please remember this site's domain name, Book C Pavilion, and find your way home. What face do you have to speak up against Lady Yue like this? Yen An roared out these words. Every word he said was the truth. This made the Lin family and 9 Sons sect members' expressions turn ugly. Their hands couldn't help but slow down a bit. Luo Xiyuan only snickered. His expression was full of nonchalance and arrogance. Those who achieve great things don't bother with trifles. How would you stupid demons understand? It is an honor for those mortals and low-grade demonic soldiers to become stepping stones for us on the path of cultivation. As for that woman from the Li family, it's just a family matter. Which male cultivator doesn't have multiple wives? That Miss Lee was jealous and overbearing, and in the end lost her husband's heart and harmed her family. She didn't reflect on herself, and instead fell to becoming a demon? A crazy woman like her should be punished. Furthermore, when did you demons have the right to interfere in the matters of my spirit cultivators? As he spoke, Luo Siyuan raised the long sword in his hand again and slashed down. There was a huge boom, and a huge wave of air pushed Yun Ruhan and Yenin away. The protective barrier finally couldn't take it anymore and shattered. Luo Siyuan laughed loudly. Yue, take a look. Your demon pet is already in my hands. Do you want their lives? If you want it, you'd better surrender. Otherwise, I'll cut off their flesh piece by piece in front of you, and cut up their demon cores inch by inch. I'd like to see how long you can hold out. As he spoke, Luo Siyuan's figure had already moved forward. Yen and let out a terrified scream. Yun Ruhan's eyes narrowed, and he opened his hand, assuming a sword stance. But before he could unsheathe his ice soul sword, a thin and slender figure appeared in front of him, and Yenin pfft. Fresh blood and minced flesh mixed with Luo Siyuan's screams. Everything in the Yun-Yang immortal abode seemed to freeze. Luo Siyuan staggered backward and looked down at his chest. There was an empty spot where his heart should have been. Not far away, a young girl was holding a beating heart in her slender, fair hand. That was his heart. Luo Siyuan opened his mouth, wanting to say something. The corners of the young girl's lips curled up, revealing a bright and radiant childlike smile. Then he exerted force with his 5 fingers. Splat. With his heart shattered, Luo Siyuan's eyes widened as he collapsed stiffly on the ground. Even at the moment of his death, he did not understand why he was defeated. He had clearly planned this for several years, advancing step by step, and had a thorough plan. Yu was supposed to be a stepping stone on his path to becoming the sect master. But why was he the one who died in the end? The members of the Lin family and the 9 Sons sect stared at this scene in horror, unable to believe their eyes. Luo Siyuan was dead? Luo Siyuan, a third-order Shen immortal, was killed by the demoness Yu just like that? Escape from the Yun-Yang celestial abode. Don't come over, help. An hour ago, the spirit cultivators were still full of vigor and hatred, but now, they were only left with despair and panic. They wanted to escape from the Yun-Yang immortal abode. However, the Yun-Yang immortal abode was Luo Siyuan's personal treasure. Now he was dead. Only spirit cultivators who were much stronger than him could forcibly tear open the immortal abode's barrier. And none of them had a higher cultivation than Luo Siyuan. Where could they escape to? The general of a defeated army was routed 1,000 miles away. Chapter 4159. They hadn't been Yu's match earlier, and now they didn't have any will to fight. In the blink of an eye, the dozen spirit cultivators had become a dozen mutilated corpses. Fresh blood dyed the grass and flowers in the Yun-Yang immortal abode red. In this glaring red, a girl in a light yellow dress stood leisurely, like a young girl who had come for a walk in the spring, ignorant and innocent. Victory, victory! Yen and shouted excitedly, pulling Yun Ruhan over. Milord won. Ah, I knew you wouldn't lose. Yun Ruhan couldn't help but be shocked. Because of the power that this small body could unleash. And the indifference that didn't even raise an eyebrow in the face of death. Compared to the little girl who was curled up on the bed and snuggling into his arms, Yi was like a completely different person. What had Yu experienced in the past? Yun Ruhan looked at Yu in a daze. The girl's body suddenly swayed, and she fell backwards. Milord! Yenin shouted and wanted to rush over. But Yun Ruhan was faster and caught the girl's soft, cold, feather-light body. Are you all right? Yu opened her eyes and glanced at Yun Ruhan before lowering them tiredly. Her voice was crisp and cute, but cold. Little demon pet, who allowed you to hug me? Yun Ruhan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He really wanted to let go and let this bad-tempered little girl fall to the ground. But looking at her pale face, he couldn't bear to do so. He was about to speak when his expression suddenly changed. Then, a huge force hit him in the face, sending him and Yu flying, crashing heavily into the fake mountain. The fake mountain shattered, and huge rocks tumbled down, drowning the two of them. Yun Ruhan felt that it was an extremely powerful demonic aura. Because he hadn't cultivated his demon core much, he was only a 9th-rank demon soldier. So when he encountered a demonic aura much stronger than his demon core immediately stopped spinning, and his body entered a state of suspended animation, unable to move. Fortunately, demonic aura wasn't the only energy in his body. Moreover, this was the Yunyang immortal abode, which was rich in spirit and immortal qi. As long as he switched from being a demon to a spirit cultivator, he would quickly recover. Just as Yun Ruhan was circulating his spiritual energy, he heard Yen An's voice. Different from his previous shrill, terrified, and nervous tone, Yen An's tone was now thick and flamboyant. The sound quality was obviously the same, but it gave off a completely different feeling. Yue, I'm so sorry. Although it's not good to take advantage of others, I've been waiting for this opportunity for too long. Yun Ruhan was astonished. He did not expect that Luo Xiyuan was not the only spy. Even Yen An's identity was not simple. Then he heard Yu Yu's calm voice. Which family are you from? Or Guan Yu? Guan Yu. Yun Ruhan vaguely remembered that these two were the same as Yu Yu. They were the Demon Emperor's personal guards and the captains of the Gorfine team. Did these two want to kill Yu Yu? Yen An couldn't help but laugh out loud. Lady Yue doesn't need to know about this. My master didn't want to be enemies with you, but he can only blame you for choosing you as the successor of the Blood Demon Commander-in-Chief token that Elder Minwei likes the most. Chapter 4160. At this point, Yen An's voice was bitingly cold and solemn. The Blood Demon Marshal's token is one of the most supreme authorities of the demon race. With the Blood Demon Commander's token, you can command the 10 million demon army and become a trusted subordinate of the Demon Venerable like the 4 demon generals. My master has been striving for this position for so many years. How could he allow the position he has worked so hard for to fall into the hands of a lowly, fallen evil? Yun Ruhan's heart skipped a beat, and she almost lost control of her spiritual and immortal energy. Yu was actually a fallen evil? Was that why she had such an unknown side to her? Yu Yu sneered, I don't care who your master is. If you want to kill me, why don't you do it yourself? Do you think you can kill me? Of course, it would be impossible if Lord Yue was at her peak. Yen An did not mind her ridicule at all. He grinned and said, After all, my lord, you are known as the strongest demon below the demon generals. But it's different now. Killing those spirit cultivators just now consumed a lot of your demonic energy, right? Even if he still has the strength to fight, he is already an arrow at the end of its flight. He won't be able to hold on for long. Yen An's voice paused for a moment before it became somewhat hoarse and resolute. This lowly one has been lurking by your side since so many years ago. I never thought that I would be able to return alive. My devil core has already been engraved with a devil restriction formation. Once it explodes, the entire immortal abode will collapse. And now, Lord Yue, you no longer have the ability to tear open this immortal abode and escape from inside. Lady Yue, after being your magical pet for so many years, this lowly one truly admires you. But I am more loyal to my master. Today, I can accompany you to death and fulfill my master's wish. I can die in peace. Yen An's laughter was hysterical and crazy, causing one's eardrums to sting. At this moment, Yun Ruhan was anxious, and the speed at which she circulated her spiritual energy increased. Then, he heard Yu Yu's emotionless voice. This has nothing to do with him. You only want my life. Let him go. Who was he referring to? Yun Ruhan was slightly startled. When she opened her eyes, all she saw was darkness. But he seemed to see that slender and frail little figure standing proudly. Yen An's voice suddenly became sharp. He only served him for one night, and Lord Yue is already so fond of him? He's just a small demon soldier, a lowly fallen evil. How enviable! However, if you think about it carefully, Lady Yue, Although you have many magical pets, I have never seen any of them sleep with you for so many years. Don't tell me that other than this little demon soldier, you've never touched any demon pet? Now that you mention it, it's even more enviable. Yu Yu's voice was cold. So, you're not going to let him go? He, of course. Yan An's voice inched closer and closer to Yun Ruhan. Who knows how much this little demon soldier heard? It wouldn't be good if it affected Master's plans. Furthermore, I've already died with you, Lord Yue, but this demon soldier who has served you is still alive. How can I accept this? I'll kill him now, and then I'll go to hell with you, my lord. Boom. The boulder on Yun Ruhan's body was blown away, revealing his still unconscious figure. Yan An's eyes flashed with a strong killing intent. His arms and nails suddenly extended, grabbing toward Yun Ruhan's magic core. Chapter 4161. But before he could touch Yun Ruhan, a light yellow figure suddenly appeared. A cold light flashed, and Yan An's arm was directly chopped off, flying into the air. Yan An took a step back, and his severed arm quickly grew back. But the end was not a palm, but a long and thin knife. His bunny-like face became ferocious at this moment. Lord Yu Yu, am I not beautiful enough? Why do you only protect this trash emo soldier? He extended his arm again, and the knife formed from his palm slashed towards Yun Ruhan and blocked Yu Yu's actions. In the next moment, Yun Ruhan felt a warm liquid drip on his face. It was so hot that his heart almost stopped beating. Lord Yu Yu, so your injuries are more serious than I expected. Yan An's voice was sharp and excited. I did not need to detonate the demon core to complete Master's orders and kill you. Lord Yu Yu, I have been your demon pet for so many years, but I have never fulfilled my duties. Today, let me serve you well before you die. Yan An's voice trembled with excitement as he approached. Actually, this lowly one has to thank Yun Ruhan, that trash emo soldier. If not for saving him, Lord Yu, you would not have lost your ability to move so quickly, and this lowly one would have the opportunity to serve you. Yan An's eyes burned with fire, and his heart almost jumped out of his chest. Mu Chang of the demon race. He had followed Yu Yu for so many years, and he really liked the strongest captain of the blood demon team. Even if it was not for the mission, he hoped to make love to Lord Yu Yu and have a dream. Unfortunately, he was different from the other high and mighty demons. Yu Yu had a harem of demon pets, but she only kept them and rarely got close to them, much less asked them to serve her in bed. Yan An had offered to sleep with her many times, but he had been chased out. Of course, there were many like him in Yu Yu Palace who offered to sleep with her. He made up his mind that before he killed Yu Yu, he had to have physical intimacy with her. But Yu Yu's accumulated power caused him to be extremely careful with every step he took. The knife in his hand trembled slightly and gave off a buzzing sound. The girl sitting on the grass looked so weak and harmless, without the slightest ability to resist. Yan An licked his lips and slowly stretched out his hand. He grabbed Yu Yu's clothes and was about to rip it open. A sudden change occurred. A powerful energy wave came from behind him. Yan An's survival instinct made him sense danger, and his expression changed drastically. But he thought that the danger came from the front, from Yu Yu. Therefore, he did not hesitate to raise the sharp knife in front of his chest, turning it into a shield. However, in the next moment, a sharp pain came from his back. His flesh split open and his bones broke. The pungent stench of blood accompanied by the pain of his monster core being torn inch by inch caused Yan An to cry out involuntarily as he was sent flying. He struggled for a long time before he finally got up. He turned around abruptly and widened his eyes in disbelief. He saw a green-robed man holding a long sword slowly walking towards him from the ruins of the shattered rockery. Dense spirit chi and immortal chi encircled him and drilled into his body. The long sword in his hand emitted a bright white light. As the long sword swept across the blood-stained grass, a layer of frost instantly formed. Chapter 4162. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is unable to find us today. Please remember our domain name, Book Sea Pavilion, and find your way home." Yun Ruhan ignored him and walked to Yu. Seeing the girl's blood-soaked clothes and the huge wounds on her legs and abdomen, he frowned. He originally wanted to ask, "How are you? Can you stand up?" But now, for some reason, anger surged from the bottom of his heart. He pursed his lips and did not speak, bending over to carry her. Yu was also looking at him in shock. The fire in her eyes flickered as if it wanted to pierce through him. "You're a spirit cultivator?" Yu looked at him expressionlessly. Her eyes were cold and bottomless. "So, you're like them, sneaking into my Yue palace to kill me?" Now that he could use spirit energy in the Yunyang immortal abode, he could open his storage space. There were very few pills related to the demon race. But Yun Ruhan still found one and fed it to Yu. This pill contains a small amount of demonic qi. It can help you heal. Yu glanced at the black elixir and the corners of her mouth suddenly curled up. She smiled innocently like a young girl and said, "You want to poison me with such a simple method? But it's not bad." As she spoke, she lowered her head and swallowed the pill. Her hot tongue licked Yun Ruhan's fingertips. He felt like he was struck by lightning. His body stiffened and his ears turned red. Yu curled her lips. Her voice was delicate and soft. "What? You're a human spirit cultivator, and you want to taste the demon race? Don't you think the demon race is dirty?" Yun Ruhan coughed lightly. After a while, he calmed his racing heart and said softly, "I'm not a spy, nor did I deliberately deceive you. It was a freak accident that I entered your Yue palace." Yu sneered. She wanted to say, "You, a spirit cultivator, disguised as a demon and snuck into Yue palace. How dare you say you're not deceiving me?" But the next moment, her small hand was grasped by a wide hand. Yun Ruhan guided his hand to the right of her heart. Her voice was soft, as if explaining and comforting. "You can try injecting some demonic qi. There's a demon core here. I have a half-spirit and half-demon body." Yu was stunned. In disbelief, she channeled her demonic energy into Yun Ruhan's body. In the next moment, he felt a magic core slowly rotating inside. There was not much devil qi lingering around the demon core, and the demon core was also very small. However, the devilish qi it contained was extremely pure, even more so than some low-grade heaven-nourished devils. If it wasn't for the devil qi surrounding him, anyone would think that he was a member of the devil race, a small devil soldier with limitless potential despite being small and weak. But how was this possible? She had been in the abyss for so many years, and had seen all kinds of demons, but none like Yun Ruhan. Even the children of the heaven-nurtured fiends could only choose one path of cultivation, otherwise, their strength would stagnate at the golden immortal level, unable to advance. This was because the two types of energy could not coexist in the same body. Yu's expression kept changing. She no longer showed her innocent lowly expression. She stared fixedly at Yun Ruhan as she enunciated each word clearly. "Who are you?" Yun Ruhan let go of her hand and said, "We can talk about this after we get out of here." "This person? What should we do with his demon pet?" Yu was stunned. She looked at Yen and laughed softly. Her voice was crisp and sweet. "What else can we do? Kill him, of course." She narrowed her eyes and turned to Yun Ruhan. "Hey, how long do you plan to hold me?" Chapter 4163. Yun Ruhan blushed and almost let go. But thinking of the current situation, his hands trembled slightly, but he still hugged the person in his arms tightly. There's a forbidden array in Yen An's demon core. If he suddenly chooses to trigger it, the mystic realm will collapse. "You're too far away from me and I can't protect you. I didn't mean to be rude." His voice was calm, but the tips of his ears reddened even more. Yu squeezed the hand that had just been held, and felt that it was very hot. She snorted softly and didn't speak again. But the corners of her mouth unconsciously curled up a little. By now, Yen An had already healed the wounds on his body, and he slowly stood up. He glared fiercely at Yun Ruhan, his eyes full of unwillingness. "I didn't expect that my years of planning would be ruined by your hands. Yun Ruhan, I was wrong, I really shouldn't have underestimated you." Lady Yue has so many male pets around her all these years, but only you can climb into her bed. Just this alone tells me that you're not simple. Yun Ruhan touched her nose. Climbing into her bed was probably a little different from what Yen and had imagined. But she wasn't interested in explaining this at this time. He merely said in a gentle voice, "You're not my opponent. You'd better surrender." Surrender without a fight? Yen Che acted as if he had heard a great joke. Our demon race has never surrendered without a fight. Do you think that just because you're a Xian immortal, you have victory in your hands? No, everything is just going back to my original plan. I'll use my life to exchange for Lady Yue's and your lives. You'll die with me. With a roar, Yen's chest and abdomen lit up with a dazzling golden light. Powerful energy radiated from his body, blasting his already injured abdomen into a pulp. Yen furrowed his brows in pain, but he continued to laugh hysterically. Buried in my demon core is the 7 Fiend Destruction Array. Even a 5th-level demon master or above can't withstand it. Without a master, this Yun-Yang immortal abode will be destroyed in one blow. If Lady Yue still had the strength of your peak, you might be able to survive. But now, only death awaits you. Yen An's laughter stopped abruptly. His eyes were wide open as he stared at the young man not far away. It was as if he had seen a ghost. The young man put down the girl in front of him and hugged her to his side. His other free hand stabbed the ice soul sword into the ground. An ice-cold and majestic aura emanated from the ice soul sword and enveloped the entire Yun-Yang immortal abode. 4th-level mountain and sea domain, one sword of the mountains and seas, freezing everything within 10,000 kilometers. The mountain-sea domain froze the entire Yun-Yang immortal abode and protected it. The rockery that had collapsed due to the explosion was covered with frost and gradually stabilized. There was no movement at all. Such a violent and powerful explosion, the Great 7 Fiend Destruction Formation, that even a 5th-stage demon master could not withstand, was actually steadily blocked just like that. Even when the ice soul sword pierced through his abdomen and his demon core was frozen and shattered, Yenin still could not believe what had just happened. He stared fixedly at Yun Ruhan. His lips moved as if he wanted to say something, but in the end, he could only collapse helplessly. Yun Ruhan withdrew the ice soul sword and let out a long sigh of relief. In reality, he had not yet adapted to absorbing immortal qi. In the battle of life and death on the floating island, he had narrowly escaped death. Chapter 4164. With the help of little junior sister's star nirvana skill, his strength broke through Golden Immortal and reached Xian Immortal. But as soon as he reached Xian Immortal, he fell into the abyss. There was no spiritual power or immortal power under the abyss, only demonic energy. This was the first time he used the power of a Xian Immortal, and he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to block Yen An's final attack. Fortunately, his mountain sea domain had been upgraded to the 4th level. The Yin-Yang immortal abode also greatly strengthened the spirit cultivators and weakened the demonic cultivators, allowing him to win easily. Yun Ruhan looked at Yu Yu and said gently, "We're going to leave the Yin-Yang immortal abode. Are you ready?" After leaving the Yin-Yang immortal abode, they would arrive at the 4-star main city, Immortal Slaying City. At that time, he would be able to see little junior sister. Mu Yen didn't expect the 4-star main city of the demon race to be like this. The sky was filled with stars, shining dazzlingly whether it was day or night. Not all the houses in the main city were built on the ground. Some were suspended in the air, surrounded by dark red halos, and the halos were filled with dense and pure demonic energy. "Hee, are you stunned?" Yu Ying looked at Mu Yen and Night Spirit's stunned expressions and couldn't help but smile proudly. The Immortal Slaying City is modeled after the Demon Imperial City. In terms of beauty and luxury, the other 3 main cities can't compare. Of course. Yu Ying sighed, her expression turning bitter. In terms of the strength of the participants, the Immortal Slaying City is not comparable to the other main cities. Little Chunchen, it won't be easy to become the leader of the Immortal Slaying City. Mu Yen was actually a little hesitant to continue participating in the marriage selection. The weakest demon in a 4-star main city was a peak demon guard, and the strongest had even reached the demon general level. A demon master was equivalent to a Xian immortal among spirit cultivators. And a demon general was equivalent to an immortal king among spirit cultivators. She didn't know if there would be a demon general in the marriage selection. If there was, would her disguise work? She was afraid that people would see through her identity at a glance. But little Qinshan, you also have a chance. Your cultivation is at the 5th level of Demon Master, and there are only a few who are stronger than you in the entire immortal slaying city. Dark Peak's Xiong Shu, Fire Fox Palace's Rui Wu. If you meet these people, you have to be careful. Of course, the one you have to be most careful of is that brat from the Hellion clan. At this point, Yuing paused and fear flashed in her eyes. Hellion Zhua is the same as you, a child of a heaven-raised demon. His father is the captain of the famous blood demon team, Hellion Guanyu. When Hellion Zhua was young, he also lived among spirit cultivators, but his actions were 100 times more ruthless than the native demons. 800 years ago, when he returned to the hidden abyss, he chose to give up on spirit cultivation and become a demonic cultivator. In just a few decades, his cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. Now, he had already reached the 7th level of Demon Master. Many people say that Hellion Zhua's future achievements will far surpass his father, Hellion Guanyu. Mu Yan collected her thoughts and looked at Yuing curiously. How did Hellion Zhua acknowledge his father? Yuing snapped, is that what you're focusing on? Isn't marrying the princess and climbing to the peak of demon life more important than acknowledging your father? Even if your father is more powerful and has a higher status, can he be higher than the princess? Alright, actually, I'm not too clear. I only know that Hellion Zhua has a demon core blood jade in his hands. When he got close to Hellion Guanyu, there was a reaction, so they acknowledged each other. I'm afraid that not many people in the hidden abyss know the specific details. Chapter 4165. Little Qinshan, although marrying the princess is important, if you're up against Hellion Zhua at the start of the competition, you should just forfeit. He's too ruthless. Even if you win against him, you'll have to pay a huge price. I'm afraid you won't be able to participate in the following matches. Mayan pretends to say inadvertently, then why don't I withdraw from the marriage selection now? Night Spirit echoed hurriedly, that's right, I think that Liangchen's achievements are already shocking enough. Who in the hidden abyss doesn't know Yi Liangchen's name? He didn't have to marry the princess to prove himself. Think about it, there were already so many experts in a 4-star main city. How dangerous would it be when they reached the demon imperial city? Right, Yi? Yuing glared at Night Spirit until the latter's hair stood on end and she could no longer laugh. Little Qinshan, you can't be so lacking in ambition. Yuing said resentfully. Do you know how many demons are supporting you in the hidden abyss? Giving up just like this, how disappointing would you make those devils? What's more, if you become the leader of a 4-star main city, you can directly go to the demon imperial city and participate in the heavenly enchantment banquet. Do you know what the Heavenly Charm Banquet is? Yuing was so excited that her face and neck turned red and her voice trembled. At the Heavenly Enchantment Banquet, all of the talented young men who want to marry the princess will come. Among them, there is even the #1 expert of the Xiuxin continent, the Polar Domain's monarch. That was the Polar Domain Empyrean Lord. Don't you want to see him? Don't you want to spar with him? Mu Yan's face darkens. Say that again? Who would come? Polar Domain's Sovereign Emperor. Yuing raised her chin and said proudly, now, everyone in Devil Imperial City and 4-star main city knows that the Polar Domain's monarch has already agreed to participate in the Heavenly Enchantment Banquet and wants to marry our princess. Heh, even the Polar Domain's Sovereign Lord is willing to marry our fiend race's princess. It's sufficient to see how great the princess's charm is. Halfway through her words, Yuing finds that Mu Yan's complexion is very unsightly. It's so gloomy that it's practically dripping water. Qinshan, what's wrong? Was he too surprised and afraid to hear that the Polar Domain's Sovereign Lord was a competitor? Actually, you don't have to worry. The honor demon has already said that our princess will marry more than one husband. Let's not talk about the one in the netherworld first. When the time comes, she will choose another one in the Xiaoxian continent and another one in the hidden abyss. At that time, you can fight for the position of the emperor's son-in-law. Although you won't be able to become the emperor's son-in-law, it will be your honor to serve the princess. After all, the polar domain's sovereign lord and the nether domain's highness are serving the princess together with you. Mu Yen couldn't help but curl up the corner of her lips, revealing a sinister smile. Yeah, this is really my honor. Ah. Good, very good. This demon princess was far beyond her imagination. It was not enough to have youngest uncle, she still needed to find a husband in the abyss. Now, 2 son-in-law aren't enough, they also need Di Mingju. Hee, Di Mingju, you want to marry a demon princess? Good. That's great. Yu Ying said cautiously, Little Chunchen, why is your smile making me scared? What was going on? If you really want to withdraw from the betrothal selection, then we can do so. I'll do my best to help you find out which demon scum your father is. Mu Yen took a deep breath, and the sinister smile on her face became perfect and flawless. No, of course I want to participate in the betrothal selection. How could I miss the opportunity to be the emperor's son-in-law together with the nether domain's highness and the polar domain's sovereign lord? Di Mingju, just you wait. Whoever withdraws from the betrothal selection is a dog. Chapter 4166. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is suddenly unable to find this site today. The young man's long eyebrows slanted to his temples, his peach blossom eyes rippling like water. Even though she was dressed as a man, she still exuded a captivating charm, causing Yu Ying to be dumbfounded. If she was a princess, there would be no need to compete or find a husband. She would decisively take such a beauty into her arms, and from then on, she would never look at other common women. The competition in the 4-star main city was different from the competition in the 1 to 3-star main city. The immortal slaying city had already gone through a round of competition. In the end, 10 male devils with outstanding looks, great strength, and a clean history of love were chosen. At this point, there were very few who could stay and participate in the competition. Therefore, the competition system in 4-star main cities was one-on-one. There were 3 matches every day. The winner would advance and the loser would be eliminated. Mu Yen had a bye today, but she still followed Yu Ying to the arena. Because Helianjua was competing today. She also wanted to see just how strong this Helianjua, who was also a descendant of the demon race like herself, was, who caused Yu Ying to feel fear. The first match was between Helianjua and the head of a 3-star main city, Tanghongi. What surprised Mu Yen was that Helianjua's appearance was very outstanding. It was different from Bailey Weiron's gentleness and elegance. Helianjua had a tall nose and deep eyes. His figure was tall and slender, and his eyes were brown like a wolf's. He had a handsome appearance and powerful strength. Helianjua naturally had many supporters. Almost as soon as he appeared, the immortal slaying square immediately burst into an uproar. Someone was screaming, someone was shouting Helianjua's name. There were also people who scattered Mabe on the stage. However, there was also a portion of people who immediately retreated when they saw Helianjua hiding in the crowd. Their eyes were filled with fear and dread. Mu Yen had already mentally prepared herself. Helianjua's match would definitely be one-sided. However, she had never imagined that the gap between them would be so huge. That was a true crushing defeat. His opponent was also a ranker who had fought his way up from a 3-star main city, a 3rd-order demon master. But in Helianjua's hands, he couldn't even withstand a single move. The scariest thing was the injuries on Tang Hongi's body. His bones were crushed inch by inch, his flesh was cut open by sharp nails, and his intestines were picked out. The only thing that was still intact was the magic core. As long as the magic cores were still there, the devils could recover from their injuries and be reborn. But that also depended on the severity of the injury. With Tang Hongi's injuries, it would take at least 10 years for him to recover his strength. Tang Hongi's blood-curdling screams seemed to echo in the immortal slaying square. The people who had just been screaming and cheering for Helianjua were now completely silent, their faces pale. Even with the cruel and bloodthirsty nature of the devil race, looking at this scene, they could not help but be horrified. Yu Ying and Night Spirit gripped Mu Yan's hands tightly, as though they were trying to draw strength from her. Night Spirit said with a trembling voice, "Liang Qin, should we retreat? If we meet him, we'll withdraw from the competition, okay?" The female demon soldier looks at Mu Yan with a pleading look. She was the only one who knew that Yap Liangchen was a woman. Even if he were to become the final victor of the betrothal contest, there was no way he could marry the princess. What was the point of risking her life to fight like this? This time, even Yu Ying did not speak. Mayan rubbed Night Spirit's head and was about to speak. Suddenly, she saw Helianjua, who had already been declared the victor on the magic crystal platform, fly in a certain direction. "Lord Yue, I really didn't expect that you would come to watch my competition as well. How was my performance just now? Did it satisfy you, Lord?" Chapter 4167. Everyone's attention was attracted by Helianjua's words, and they couldn't help but look over. When they heard the meaning of Helianjua's words and saw who he was flying towards, the demons on the immortal slaughtering square sucked in a breath of cold air and retreated as if they had seen a ghost. In the blink of an eye, that area became empty, leaving only a beautiful and adorable girl standing there. And behind her, there was a young man dressed in green with a gentle appearance. The moment she saw the young man, Mayan's eyes widened, and her heart almost stopped beating. As the crowd retreated, Yun Ruhan, who was standing next to Yu Yu, became extremely conspicuous. Helianjua's arrogant gaze fell on her, and he smiled faintly. "Lord Yu Yu's eyesight is getting better and better. Now, even such a lowly little demon soldier can catch your eye." Yu Yu fanned herself with a bored expression, then looked at Yun Ruhan, and complained with puffed cheeks, "The smell of immortal slaughtering city is too bad, it smells like a wolf. I can't see little Chunchin here either. Forget it, let's go back." Yun Ruhan had just seen the flow of the immortal slaughtering city's marriage selection. He found that his junior sister would only appear on the third day. And the immortal slaughtering square was crowded. Even if Mayan came to watch the competition, he might not be able to find her. So he nodded, "Okay." Yu Yu's eyes were bright, like an innocent and cute little girl. "I know that the immortal slaughtering city's demon blood cold cake is very delicious. Come with me to buy it." Yun Ruhan looked at her with a somewhat helpless and doting gaze. "Lord, you said before that eating too much demon blood cold cake would make one's stomach bloated. You can't sleep well at night." Did I say that? I don't care, I must eat it. If I really have a bloated stomach and can't sleep well, you'll be responsible for warming my bed until I fall asleep." Helianjua's expression suddenly became extremely gloomy. Because from beginning to end, Yu Yu didn't even look at him. She even treated him as if he didn't exist. Helianjua, who had always been feared and admired by others, had his face contorted for an instant before he started to laugh lowly. His figure suddenly flickered, and he appeared in front of Yu Yu and Yun Ruhan, who were about to leave. His handsome face was filled with a careless mischievousness. "I remember now, the family seems to be lacking a watchdog. I think the one by Lady Yue's side is not bad. If Lady Yue has no objections, I will take him with me." As soon as he finished speaking, Helianjua raised his hand, and a dark light shot out from his palm, instantly wrapping around Yun Ruhan. Yun Ruhan wanted to struggle free, but she discovered that the black threads wrapped around her body were actually formed from pure demonic energy. If he wanted to break free, he would have to expose his identity as a spirit cultivator. Otherwise, he would not have been able to do it with the demonic aura of his demonic weapon. Yu Yu's eyes turned cold. She finally looked straight at Helianjua. "Helianjua, has the water of the river of forgetfulness entered your brain? Even your father doesn't dare to be so arrogant in front of me. You want to take someone away from me? Do you think I'm dead?" Helianjua laughed heartily, as if he was very satisfied to see Yu Yu's expression change. He extended his index finger and shook it lightly. The black demonic aura around his fingertip immediately affected the threads binding Yun Ruhan, causing him to reveal a somewhat pained expression. I want to take him away. What does Lady Yue want? Kill me? You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.